Welcome to Aligned and Alive, where we move beyond the surface and into your deep knowing. I'm Cheyenne Montgomery, and this is your space to trust your intuition, clear what no longer serves, and rise into your highest self. Your wisdom is already within. You're here to remember. You are in for a treat today. We have Janae Thompson joining us, and we're going to peel back the curtain into her life when it was turned completely upside down, how she navigated her way through it, and what she's doing now. Today, you are going to be inspired by a woman who is brave enough to lean into the depths of despair and come out the other side looking like an absolute unicorn, making it look easy.
Try. I try.
Okay, Janae.
Yeah, well, first of all, your title, Aligned and Alive, that is what I'm working towards, constant alignment on the path all the time. Might align with the path, not all the time, but I have learned how to identify when I'm off the path and get aligned much more quickly.
Yes.
And alive. Oh my goodness, that's the big part of my story is I am alive. And sometimes I don't love that fact. And I say that with tongue in cheek because and I'll just jump right into it. The upheaval in my life came when my husband died suddenly in an unexpected accident. I was 36 years old and became a widow to 4 children. And my husband was 38. So, that's far too young for someone to pass away, in my opinion. And my children were all under the age of 10. My baby was 2 years old. And I just felt like, what am I going to do now? Of course, you never plan for a sudden death like that. But, I had worked my entire life to get to this point in my life with my husband. We had built a successful business. Maybe we want to travel the world and, not be in one place. We were just in this place of, okay, we've established our business.
Yeah.
Our kids are here. Everything is in alignment for us to be able to we checked off the boxes and we were ready to retire, so to speak, and just spend time as a family exploring the world and exploring our dreams and doing the things we wanted to do because we had worked so hard up to that point and, put off a lot of things, quite frankly, that we wanted to do or that sounded more fun. In favor of the sacrifice of working hard to build a business and, working those 18-hour days for 10 years straight. And so it was finally time for us to have fun and do what we wanted to do and enjoy it. And so we did that for, 3 or 4 months. And part of that was my husband wanted to paraglide. He'd always wanted to do that. And that was one of his things that he was really excited about doing, bucket list item. We were checking those bucket list items off. And apparently he ticked him off a little too fast and ended, his time here. So, and then I was left with 4 kids and I didn't know what to do. I just was like, this is not what I signed up for. This was not the plan. We were going to go to Hawaii. We were going to go to Lake Powell. We were going to explore the world and explore our wants and desires. I was doing a yoga teacher training. I was, just really exploring the things that I loved. And I was halfway through that. And I was like, I am not going to be a yoga teacher as a single mom. I did finish the course, but more out of I couldn't think straight and it was planned and my mom volunteered to watch my kids. So I went and I thought, my husband would want me to do this, but it wasn't at that point. Nothing in my life at that point anymore was what I wanted. I was just responding to it. I was not, and I should say reacting to it because I didn't have any ability to plan or align myself or become the person and the woman that I wanted to be because I thought all was lost.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievably challenging. And my mind, quite frankly, probably went somewhere else for a couple of years. And I just was having out of body experiences, not in the good way. I can't handle all this. I'm checking out.
That's actually what happens when we get those moments in life. No matter if you have had a loss of a spouse, a divorce, just anything that rocks your boat, and you're left trying to figure out how to put the puzzle pieces back together after the whole thing just blew up. And I know I've heard you say before, financially, you were in a space that you're like, wow, I have more than most people. You had guilt and shame because you felt like you should be more grateful, and yet you were in the depths of despair and heartbreak.
Yeah. Well, how can you be grateful when your husband just died and everything you had planned just went out the window? And it's like, this is fucking stupid. And at that point, no material things ever replace a human being. No material things, no amount of success, no amount of wealth replace the love of a partnership, you know? So it's like, yeah, I can see these blessings that I have monetarily, but they also mean nothing to me right now. And I'm also grateful to have them because it would make this time in my life, this grief, this challenge, even more challenging. And I know a
Yeah.
lot of people go through that and it's even more challenging, even than what I went through when you add those stressors on there. And in everyday life, people have those stressors without loss. And so, you know, I understand deeply the stress of how challenging everyday life is, but then you add on to that this challenge that life just smacked you in the fucking face with in a way that's like, are you kidding me? Like, why me? And that's the worst question to ask because why not you? I mean, how are any of us exempt from the most horrific losses and tragedies and none of us get out of this life alive, like, so that's it's not an option.
Yeah.
You know, there's not an easy way out, as Tom Petty likes to say in I Won't Back Down, which has been my theme song the last couple days. I won't back down. I'll stand my ground, bitches. And I mean, but I love that line in his song because it's like there's no easy way out of this life. And when I listen to the song, it's like that's what I think about. There's no easy way out. So what are you going to do? Are you going to whine and complain and bitch and be a victim to it? Or are you going to look at life and say, okay, bring it on? Because you know what? The truth is, if you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear and the heart to feel the lessons that life is going to give you, because life loves you. And if life does not love you, then you will not have those experiences and they will not turn you into the person that you're meant to be.
Mm,
And
you know what?
so embracing the love life has to give you because these challenges come from love because you cannot develop strength without challenge.
Yes. And I think women are robbed of in this
Mm,
society. Now
mm.
I'm gonna go on a
Yeah,
say
let's hear.
something bold here, and I know it's gonna piss people off. But here's the thing is like you think about child labor. We numb the pain. And subliminally, it's teaching us we can't handle pain. We shouldn't handle pain. Pain is not a problem. It's our resistance to pain that is the problem and perpetuates the pain.
Yes,
But if we
yes.
can like fully feel my way through this, my body is
Mm-hmm,
meant to do this. It knows how to
mm-hmm.
do this. And you
Yeah,
can use that pain for purpose to get that slice of heaven that you get to hold in your hands
and it's
on
so
the
worth it when you
other
look at that
side,
baby's face. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
We are so programmed that like, oh, we can't feel that. We shouldn't feel that. The more we're willing to feel the pain, what do we have on the other side? So talk about what has been on the other side of you just allowing yourself to feel
Mm,
completely broken and not
that's
making
such
it a problem to be disheveled.
That's such a big question. Well, first of all, I'm going to connect deeply with that example because when I was in labor with my first child, I learned that when a contraction would come on, if I could completely relax, like just submit to it and like consciously relax every muscle in my body, the contraction was something I could get through. But the second I tensed anything in my body, my fingernail tensed, that contraction felt 10 times worse. And so,
Yeah.
and that practice to totally relax your body when you're under that kind of stress and strain was probably the most challenging thing I've ever done. I was scared. I was nervous. I'd never done this. This is my first time, obviously. And I would tense up the first, part of this labor. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. This is so painful. I knew another one was going to come on. And so I was like, what can I do to negate this pain? And I was having a home birth. And so, there was no pain relief available for me. And I was just like, I have to surrender to this and give up to it. And I just remember almost like giving up. And then another contraction came and I was like, oh, that was doable. And then I just realized if I completely relax and succumb to this feeling and let it be in charge instead of my body trying to force it into a feeling because I'm tense, it was manageable. And that was one of my first I have a few experiences of really truly learning how to let go of everything, every expectation, letting all of it go. And it's such a cliche thing to say, let it go, because most people don't really know what that means, nor can they do it, nor are they willing to do it
Mhm,
because it's
mhm.
too hard to understand. But when I completely surrendered my body to the process of childbirth, that's the only way I could get through it where it felt manageable. Because if I tensed up my pinky nail, the contraction felt 10 times more painful. So that's a little childbirth tip.
But don't you think it's so symbolic? And when we are giving everyone pain medicine and epidurals and all of these things, it really does set a precedence that we can't handle pain,
Right.
and we rob ourselves of the experience of
Mhm.
the shift in paradigm. Like, there's so many
Yeah.
lessons that experience of birthing something
Mhm.
actually gives us. It's so
Yes.
symbolic. It's
I mean,
so
life is a
symbolic.
process of birthing and rebirthing and
Yes.
creating. It's so beautiful that our entrance into this world is symbolic of all of our experiences that are to come. Whether you're male or female, because we all create and birth things that are
Mm, yes.
non-existent before we came, and the thing that we created was non-existent before we came and created it.
Yeah. So here we are. Your whole world has been flipped upside down. It's now you without your partner. What do you do?
I just fucked off because it was bad. I'm just kidding. I tried to. No, I mean, the first couple of years, honestly, were just like, I mean, I just was I had a hard time thinking. I had a hard time feeling. It was a lot of numbness. It was just a lot of survival mechanisms kicking in. And there were a lot of moments of really beautiful experiences, but the feelings were so deep that as a human being feeling that level of capacity, I could not handle it.
Mhm.
And one thing I learned about capacity, and this is like one of the coolest things, is you have this kind of range of what you can feel, right? And as we learn and grow, the range gets bigger and bigger, or bigger and bigger. And it's like if you have these really negative, hard feelings, it's like if it feels like your capacity to feel gets lowered and lowered. But if you look at the amount of feeling you can have, your capacity still increases. And in that, I feel like the ceiling, the top gets raised as well. And the overall increase is what happens. And so in this moment of my life, it was like my capacity to feel was dropping because my feelings were so negative that that floor was dropping lower and lower. And I didn't know how low I could go and how horrible I could feel and how depressed I could feel and how much grief I could feel and how much anger I could feel. And all these dark, horrible, negative feelings were very overwhelming. And, as much as everybody in my life wanted to say, oh, it happened for a reason and, he's in a better place. And I'm like, fuck you. He's in a better place. Yeah. So he can just leave me in the less better place with all his children. Like, don't try to comfort me because there's nothing anybody can do or say to make me feel better. I'm going to have to get through this. And one of the things that I learned deeply is to allow myself to feel those things without trying to resist it. Again, going back to the childbirth example, the moment I resisted a contraction, exponentially more difficult the feeling became, and I
Yeah.
could hardly get through it. And I'm not perfect at this. I still try to sabotage my feelings. I still try to not feel them. I still try to stuff them and compartmentalize. I still do all those awful
Oh, you're
self-sabotaging
still
things.
human, Janae?
Yes. I mean, I'm still here. I think that, as soon as I get my angel wings, because I'm so perfect, I'll just be translated into the next world. It's a process and it's a learning process and allowing yourself to learn and go through the process, but feel and allow yourself to feel. And, feeling is really difficult. The process I go through is when I have a feeling, and I really like to process the negative feelings through anger. Anger is my expression of sadness, of fear, of hardship. because anger motivates me. So anger allows me to be productive. Anger allows me to get shit done. Anger allows me to feel like I'm powerful when I'm feeling really, really sad. And once I identified, how it is that I am trying to push my feelings away and what is that doing for me? Well, it's allowing me to function in life. So it has a place, to negate my feelings and use anger as a motivator. But then I have to ask myself the question, how long do I want to feel angry?
Yeah.
Because this
Yeah.
isn't really how I want to live. Even though it feels good and I'm getting things done, I'm not happy. And then having that conversation with myself, and it's like, okay, why am I angry? Well, I'm angry because my husband left. Okay, well, that's justifiable, right? But why are you angry that your husband left? Well, because I am lonely and because I'm raising the kids by myself and it's really hard and I didn't agree to this. See the anger like tries to creep back in as I'm going through this process, but then it's like, well, what did you agree to? Well, I agreed to marry my best friend and live a life together and build a life together and have these children together. Well, did you do that? Yes, I did. But it wasn't supposed to end. And then it's like, really? Were you guys going to live together alive forever? Did you really think that? And I was like, well, I guess not. But it was sooner than I wanted. So then I'm going back to this tantrumy. But at the same time, it's like, well, that's understandable. It was earlier than you expected. And I'm not kidding. These are conversations I have in my head. Maybe I'm a
Yeah.
crazy person. But at the same time, it's like, well, so what do you really feel about that? Well, I feel really sad because I had an expectation and it was not met. And
Yeah.
my expectation was that, we grow old together and we watch our kids grow up. And every time they have a birthday or a milestone or they come home with a paper that says, like my best part of my day is when I get to hug and kiss my mom, and it's like, ugh, I want to show and share these things with their father. That's who should be here. But who am I to say what should be? Because it's not. And I have to accept the reality of that. And if I accept the reality of that, that means I'm disappointed and that means I'm sad.
Right.
And I don't want to admit that I'm sad and disappointed because what does that mean about me? That I can't handle this and that I'm not enough. Right. And so then
Yes.
it always comes down to this like, am I really enough? And the answer is always yes, because if you're doing it, you're capable of doing it.
I think that's such a powerful shift that you make. If we believe it should be different, we are in a place of misery because
Misery.
it's not. It shouldn't have been another way because it's not another way.
Yeah.
And the quicker we can wrap our mind around that,
Mhm. Yeah. And I'm a problem solver. I want to solve a problem. So if something bad happens or if something negative happens, and inherently I actually don't believe in good or bad, but it's just easy descriptive words. It's just like we all do things, we all think things, we all feel things, and they have an outcome. Is the outcome what you want or is it not what you want? Is it a desirable outcome or a less desirable outcome? The less desirable outcomes will usually teach us lessons. And if we don't learn the lessons, we're going to repeat the less desirable outcomes over and over and over and over again until you figure out what the fucking lesson is that life's trying to teach you. Because, like I said, life loves you and life is here to teach you. And every experience you have is a learning moment, an opportunity to create you and give you the opportunity to become the being you are meant to be. If you didn't have any experience, if you didn't have any challenge, if you didn't have any opposition, then you could not grow to become who you're meant to be and become, stronger and more educated and wise, because wisdom comes not with time, but with experience and learning the lessons that time teaches you in in those experiences. And so you can get lots of people that are really old and have lived the same lesson over and over again and still haven't learned the lesson. And they're not wise, but they're really old. And you get some young people that have these experiences and they learn like that and they become wise in their young years. I just always look at what is this teaching me? I don't like
yeah.
this, but what are the positive aspects of this? When I ask myself that question, what are the positive aspects of this? What have I learned? Who have I become? And that's the phase I'm in now. And you asked, what's on the other side? Well, on the other side is strength. I I
Yes.
still have not gotten over my husband's death. I still am angry at him for power paragliding and leaving me with 4 kids. I'm still mad about all those things, but do I really want to be mad? No. Do I feel anger? Yeah, I still feel anger all the time. But what's crazy and what's so interesting is my capacity for what I'm capable of has grown exponentially. And the person that I am now is not the same person I was when I lived a beautiful, magical, fantastical life that was taken from me. And I would never, for anything, go back to being that person before I had these experiences. And that's
Yeah.
not to say I wouldn't, if I could have my husband back, I would be like, yes, sign me up, I'll take it. And of course, that's never going to happen. And I know that. But the longing for his return, the longing for me to see him again and, go back to the life we had and finish raising our kids together, that's not disappeared. But my ability to be able to hold the feelings that I have and how much I have grown as a person. The person
Yeah.
that I am now can handle all those feelings. The person that I am now can handle being a single mother. And
Yeah.
the person that I am now can handle running a business and like can do 1,000 times more in a day than I could before. And I'm 1,000 times more exhausted at the end of the day, but I feel so much more fulfilled and complete because I'm closer to who I'm meant to be in this lifetime. And who's to say that he was supposed to stay here with me his whole life? What's his life path? And like, what was he supposed to do and learn and become? And if that was the end of his road, who am I to say, I don't agree with that? That's not right. I mean, I still don't like it. It's still not an outcome that I want. But
Hmm.
who am I to say he should be here right now? Because if he was, I wouldn't become the person I am now. And his life path wouldn't have been what it was meant to be. And who the fuck do I think I am to think I have that much power and control to say, I don't care what's meant to be. I just want what I want. Thank you very much. I mean, that's not how this works if you are willing to be open to learning and receiving the experiences that you need, especially the hard ones, to become who
Yes.
you're meant to be.
That gives so much hope to
Yeah.
women that are in the depths of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
because there is strength on the other side. And a
There
lot of
is.
times what I've noticed is people will say like the worst thing that I could have even imagined
Yeah.
happened to me.
And
And
the
it's
reason they
almost
say
like
that
what's that?
And the reason they say that is because the worst thing they could imagine is generally what their life is meant to give them. So it's like you imagine it, but it comes to pass because you're creating it for your sole purpose. And
Yes.
that's not to say, oh, it would be so horrible to have this thing happen and then it happens. That's not how it works. But it's like you said, when you create, how am I supposed to express? And that would be the worst thing. Usually the worst thing is what's meant to happen because then you find out it's not the worst thing.
Like you said, life loves you so much. It
Hmm.
allows the worst thing that you could imagine to happen to you. And I am still okay. I'm still here. I'm still standing. And it doesn't mean that we didn't go to the depths, that hell didn't have a basement.
Right.
But
And then a cellar underneath that.
you realize the strength of who you are, and you really I think it's in those moments that you really do come to know yourself, and you build trust within yourself, and you have that soul's evolution.
Yeah.
So as far as that goes, what are you up to now?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, again, the loss of my husband forced me to look at who am I? Who am I on my own? Who am I as a mother? Who am I as not a wife anymore? Who am I without these confines of roles that I played? And very traditional in my life, especially like the way I grew up. It was like you go to school, get married, have a family, and that's it. Like you check off all the boxes and your life's perfect. And I was like, okay, got it. Got the checklist, did it all. And then, this like happens and you're like, wait, that was not on the checklist. And, it's allowed me to explore things that I never would have explored in this partnership as my life was defined by these roles that I had before. And it's also interesting how as you're following your life path, it's like what I'm doing now for work. As a little girl, I was like, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to be a ballerina. I'm going to be a doctor. And you think that's the career you're going to go into and that's how you're going to get paid. And, I couldn't live in the house that we lived in together. It was really difficult to just see the kitchen and remember him in there. I just couldn't stay where I was at. And I tend to flight, when it's not even flight. I like to run away because I can run fast and I'm doing something. And so if I'm angry, I'll go for a run. If I don't like something, I'll change it and, make it something else. And so I couldn't live in the house in the neighborhood we were in, even though it was lovely. Everything shifted. And so I bought this house and it was like crazy. I drove into the driveway and I was like, I'm home. And I'd looked at hundreds of houses. And this was kind of a distraction I was using to get through this time of grief because my husband had been gone for about a year by the time I was ready to buy a house and sell the other one. And they say, don't make any big decisions the first year after somebody dies or you have big trauma. And that is wise. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I don't want to wait. I have to do this right now because I just have to change things because I think it'll make me feel better. And, it's being in action, but it's also trying to get away from the pain. And I see how I did that in both ways, but it still was guiding me because you can
Mhm.
use your defense mechanisms because that's where you go when you're comfortable and that helps you get through things. And that's good and that's okay. But you also need to be aware of what you're not looking at in the process. And so I was really trying to do that. And maybe not consciously, but subconsciously, I was using, okay, what are my strengths and what are my defense mechanisms? I'm running away, but I'm also looking for a new house and I'm selling this and I'm doing that. And so I drove into the driveway and I was like, I'm home. I just feel it, and then I walked into the house and I was like, whoa, this house is really ugly on the inside. And, that was not what I expected, but I was like, I could just redo this house. Like I could just redo it. And one of the things I have to credit my growing up years with is my mom and dad were always like, you can do anything. I walked into this project having no idea, no clue what I was getting into. And I just did it and I renovated the whole house. And it was such a therapeutic experience to go through and look at everything that was not beautiful and look at it and say, what can make this space
Ugh.
beautiful and pick
And
everything
so
that I wanted and
symbolic.
loved. And it was because I was letting go of the constructs of who I thought I was to create this new version of myself, who I
Yes.
knew I was. And I would go into these home stores, and pick out flooring or pick out tile or whatever. And I wouldn't look at price. I wouldn't look at anything other than what do I love and what is beautiful. And there was only one decision that I ended up making where I picked out like the most expensive tile in the whole store and it was like crazy expensive. And I was like, of course I would pick out the most expensive tile. And the one that I loved the second most was 1/30th of the price. And I loved it just as much. So in that particular decision, and I'm not saying you shouldn't make decisions based on money or not or whatever. Like it's all a plan, but I was doing this from my heart and I would walk into the store and I'd say, what do I love and why do I love it? And how would it work in this space? And I would sit in each room in the space and I would say, what do you want to become? Like, what are you meant to
Mm.
be? How can I help you express yourself? And I literally would fill the house saying, thank you for helping me become my potential beauty. It's like I
My
could feel the
gosh, I
walls
love
talking
that
to me.
so much.
It was just, and it was therapy. It was
Yeah.
like, I'm expressing, I'm creating, I'm demolitioning, I'm making this beautiful where it was not beautiful at
Yeah.
all. We're talking like the house was out of date when they built it because whoever built these houses in this area in this particular part of the country, it's like they would build a house in I think it was built in 1999 and they literally used like classic 80s stuff. It's out of date by the time it's built. It was so good. I learned how I love design and I love interior decorating and and I've always loved those things, but it was like, no, you just need to be a mom because that's most important. It's like, okay, I'll just be a mom and I'll just put away all the things that I was interested in before and never do them again. And now it's like, well, actually, that's not going to work for you because you also have to have a career. So what do you want to do? You can't just be a stay-at-home mom anymore. So what do you want to do for work? I don't want to sit in an office, that's for sure. And I don't want to go figure out how do I get a job. And I've always been pretty entrepreneurial minded anyway. But this really opened up that doorway. And then I bought another one and renovated it and decorated it, and it became an Airbnb. And then I just kept doing that. And so now I have 11 Airbnbs, 11 properties. And I've just sequentially done them because again, the business that we had was very successful, but after a few years, the income completely dropped off and I had no income. And I was like, how am I going to support my family? And we had saved a lot of money, which was really such a blessing. We always had a saving habit. We'd always save a minimum of 10% of our income. And so, I was, again, very blessed to be able to have savings to be able to invest in these properties and do that. But I needed to make an income. And so, these houses weren't just an investment. This is how I'm going to support my family. And one thing led to another. And I met different people and I put myself out there and I would go to entrepreneur events and I would learn. And I just had this insatiable desire to be really honest, to fix myself. Like, how do I fix myself with, therapy, energy workers, entrepreneurial groups? Like, somebody out there is going to save me and
Yeah.
fix me. And what I found through that process is nobody's going to save me and nobody's going to fix me. I have to do it myself. And I'm
But
willing to.
also is that you weren't freaking broken. You weren't
Yeah.
broken. You just needed permission to go through this process and then get clear enough that you could, and maybe permission.
Hmm.
Maybe permission. What does your heart want? because
Yeah.
you knew
And
the
that's what I kept
way.
asking. What does my
You
heart
knew
want?
the way. Yes,
I
and I
did.
remember when we first started working together, like, you knew you wanted to design. You knew you wanted to create.
I did. Yep.
And
And I had never allowed myself because I was afraid.
yeah.
But fear is a funny thing because anything you do from fear just fucks your life up, really.
Yeah.
But once I go through the fear of like, what's the worst that could happen? I'm a bad designer, I'm unsuccessful, whatever. And I'm not a designer by trade. Actually, I love to create beautiful spaces for people to enjoy. And Airbnb, doing short term rentals has been a beautiful outlet for that. But I've learned I'm really good at business. I'm really good at coordinating. I'm really good at decorating, but I'm really good at creating a system and I'm really good at setting things up. And I discovered all these things through the process. And then I realized I'm saving my fucking self. Like nobody's going to come and do it. It's up to me and I'm doing it.
I'm not a designer by trade. There's this one piece that I wish all women would like grasp onto. God gave you talents and
Yeah.
gifts. And why do we think we have to be trained? Like, give yourself permission to just be
do.
authentically who you are and look at what happens.
Yeah, just do what you're good at and do what you love. And when they say the cliche, do what you love, I really have just been doing what I love this whole time. And now I've created a beautiful income and I've created a massive, real estate portfolio and I've managed, all these properties and I've employed a lot of people and I've created a lot of blessing for other people in their lives, which the next big thing that I'm doing is I was doing all this. I was looking at this beautiful Airbnb that I had and I was just thinking like, how many moms in my position who had a husband that died and is now a widow would never be able to take their kids on vacation ever again? And after my husband died, there's so many losses that you have after someone you love dies because it's not just the loss of a person, it's the loss of their presence at every
Yes.
moment. And it feels like a new loss every time. And one of the hardest things was we had planned this vacation to Hawaii right after he died. We were supposed to leave like in a month, and we were going to stay there for like 3 months and just like really start this phase of our lives where we're just exploring and doing what we loved. And like, what better place than Hawaii? Because we had also went on our first date in Hawaii, which sounds crazy, but he was a pilot and I had Sky Miles and like we knew each other and we had been like flirting and talking for like a month or whatever. And then he's like, I'm going to Hawaii. You want to come with me? I shouldn't say our first date, our first kiss. We had been on dates before and he had not kissed me yet for like 2 months. And I was like, what is wrong with you? Are you gay? And I'm not kidding. Like, I really was wondering, like, why haven't you kissed me? And I mean, he was so sweet because, I'm really committed. And if I kiss a girl, I am really committed. So he would go out on all these dates with all these different girls and he wouldn't kiss any of them. Anyway, and that was just a phase, right? Because he was looking for his wife because we were in that dating mode of dating for marriage, right? But anyway, so we had gone to Hawaii, had our first kiss there. And then we returned to Hawaii, got engaged there. So we had a lot of beautiful memories.
Gosh, yeah, I can't imagine you having that trip booked and then
Yeah. And then it was just taken away. But I wasn't able to get a refund on the place we were staying. I still had to pay for the first like 3 weeks or something like that. Maybe I should just take me and the boys and just go for 3 weeks, like we're not doing anything and everybody's really sad. We should just do it. And so I took them. It was so hard. And, I just felt so lonely and I had 4 kids by myself and I had to get them on a plane by myself. I mean, just think about me with these 4 little boys going through airport security and I'm taking all their shoes off and I'm doing this all by myself, and the looks that I got, people were like, are those all your kids? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, and you're doing this by yourself? I'm like, yeah. This is so hard. And quite frankly, it was more sad to be there than not because I just didn't know what to do. And I had to go to the grocery store by myself and I couldn't think of activities. And I just I couldn't get out of the house to do these things because I was just overwhelmed, but I was still trying,
yeah.
And so I was like, this is one thing that if I could do anything, now I have these beautiful Airbnbs. What if I could provide a family who's had a loss like this with a vacation where it's paid for? Their groceries are in the house when they get in here.
Mm.
The mom or dad, depending on if it's a widow or a widower, has a massage scheduled, a babysitter's there. All their activities are planned. They're paid for, and they just go on this vacation and they have this opportunity to rest from the grief that they're in and have fun and create new memories for this phase in their
Yes.
life and honor their loved one, but also know that you do have to move on. And going on vacation is one of those losses that I was just like, this is so hard. And now I'm in a position where I could create that as a blessing for someone else who's experienced this.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the process of creating this as a nonprofit. And this is one of the things that I was just so fired up about. Like, I'm so excited. This is part of what I meant to do is help other people who have been through this experience assuage some of the grief that they're feeling in a joyful way so that they can create new memories in a positive way faster than I did. And if somebody could have done
Yeah.
that for me, what a difference it would have made in just the deepness and the sadness of the grief that I was processing. And, everybody asks, what can I do? What can I do? And there's not a right answer for that. And I'm not saying this is the answer for everything. This is just what I came up with.
Mhm.
And so, I'm going through the process of this right now. I'm setting it up. I'm doing the paperwork. It's not a legal entity yet, but I'm working on it. It's called Healing Hearts Getaways, and we do have the website up. So it's healingheartsgetaways.com. And, it's just one of those things that I know this is what I'm doing. If someone wants to nominate a family, I want to hear who deserves a vacation like this. We're looking for donations as well. I've kind of broken it down, and the setup costs for this first year are going to be around $140,000. So I'm looking for that as a donation. We will have it legally set up so that that donation goes into our nonprofit. But, I just want to put that out there as like, that's the number we're looking for. That'll sponsor 2 families on vacation. The girl that I'm working with to set up this nonprofit is also a single mom that would pay her salary for the entire year. It's just like getting really clear on what it is you want and you need is the most powerful step in making it happen. And so, I'm going through this process. I've been so inspired to give back in this way. But, unfortunately, I will have a never ending supply of families who are going to need something like this. And I get it. I'm not putting food on the table for somebody who can't afford food, and I'm not bringing water to Africa. But, people suffer in their own ways that are just difficult and challenging. And I feel like anything that you can do to contribute to the happiness of mankind and humanity is something that creates a better ripple of positive and goodness in the world. And in your greatest loss and in your greatest grief, that's when you find the strength in yourself to become something new and beautiful. And vacations are also one of those things where it's like you extricate yourself out of the everyday and
Yes.
your
And you can
brain
start to
becomes
create
more
those new
clear and you
patterns.
create. Yes. And so, that's the gift that I want to give to other people who have experienced losses like this, especially with little kids where it's like, this is so challenging at this moment. And,
We all know that women set the thermostat. I love this so much. If a mom can just be held
yeah.
and quiet her mind and
Mm-hmm.
find that safety again, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what happens is like when we can't find that safety and that regulated nervous system, even for a minute after tragedy,
Yeah.
we just are in this loop.
Yeah.
But if you could have that space to be
Mm-hmm.
different in a different area where you can start to create new patterns and she
Mm-hmm.
can just be held. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm seeing is like you've created these, this is the visual, is that you've created these little nests for her to be held
Yes. I love that.
because
That's
that's what
true.
she
That's exactly what
needs.
I've had. Yeah.
She just needed the nest and then she
Mm-hmm.
can, I mean, women are so damn good at taking care of everyone else.
Yes.
But
It's
if
true.
they can just be held for a moment, they can 10x it. I
Yeah.
mean, that is going to be so profound for her, and then she has more to give.
Oh.
And it's just the first step, but it's
Mm-hmm.
so important.
Mm-hmm. It
It's
really
so
is.
important.
And being held, I love the way you describe that because, God, that's still my dream. Like, please, someone just hold me. At any moment, I will take that. I love to hug my friends. I love to be held by, strong arms. I love to embrace my kids and hold them. And it reminds me, going back to right after my husband died, those first 2 weeks, I literally felt like I was just nestled in the hand of God. Like he was holding me. I would look around and I'd be like, am I even on the ground? And it's not because it was such an amazing, beautiful experience. It was because he was holding me and protecting me and just saying, I've got you, don't worry. And I remember, after the funeral and after everything had, come to pass that was like the logistical things of this, I remember still feeling held for another period of time. And
Yeah.
then again, like this is where it's like, okay, you can't have this coddling all the time. Like, life is not going to be perfect. Your parents don't say yes to everything you want. That's not how this works. If your parents said yes to everything you wanted, you would become a spoiled brat and nobody would want to talk to you ever, So that's not how life works. Life is like that parent, and I remember feeling, oh, God's starting to like put his hand down and like put me back on the ground and like drop me. And I'm like, no, 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 please don't put me down. No, please, please keep holding me. Please don't let my feet touch the ground. Oh, my toes touching. I'm not ready for this. Now my whole foot's on there. Now my heels touch the ground. No, please don't put me down. And he did anyway, because God loves me and I needed to be put down. But oh God, what a beautiful respite I had for those 2 weeks when I was not capable of standing on my own 2 feet, to feel like I was constantly being held.
Just think that this speaks to the gift. When we truly use spirituality, we truly create spiritually. I mean, you think about when you're going through that, and you're a family that was like very well known.
Yeah.
So you had people from all over the world praying, like, I don't know if it was the world, but praying for you, praying for your family.
Everywhere.
And
And I felt it.
that's the wrapping you up and holding you.
Yes.
And I just think we can never forget the power of those well wishes and those prayers for the people in our lives that are struggling. And so many times we think, like you've said, well, people say, well, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? When you can't do anything else and you get trapped in this like mind loop of, well, I can't do this. That's not enough. Just pray because you feel it. And right after a tragedy like that, everyone is thinking about it and holding you in that way. It's so interesting. That's what came up when you were talking about that, because so many people were praying for you and your family and holding you in that love.
I did. And, the interesting thing about prayer, and I feel like prayer is a state of being and energy creation. So, regardless of your beliefs on deity and what God is or who that is, when I reach inside of myself and I have a feeling and I say to myself, God, please bless this family that has lost their father. Please bless this person that is struggling. It's like I feel my heart expanding with energy that's going out into the world and creating that feeling of just being there, even if I'm not physically there. And that's what I felt, And so prayer does work. It does have a place, but I will also say, it only works when you feel it. If you're just going through rote prayers, which was a lot of my religious upbringing, it's just rote prayers all the time. Prayer on the food, prayer at night, prayer in the morning. And it's just, you say the same things over and over again. That was not my experience with prayer, where it was like a connecting feeling. It hasn't been until I looked inside of myself and felt the power of truly feeling and being in a spiritual realm of energetic creation and exchange. And that has become my prayer. And it's led me and guided me in ways I couldn't have expected to become this person I never knew I could be, without all of these goddamn hard fucking experiences that I would be like, no, thanks. I'm not signing up for that. Peace out. I'm going to go to the beach, guys. Cause like inherently I'm lazy and I want to do what I want to do, and I'm selfish and, I just want to fuck off. But the reality is that's not who I am. I do like to do those things occasionally, but that's also part of like myself asking, what do I need right now? And sometimes it is just lay in bed today. You're just really sad, and it's okay. Just lay in bed and don't feel like you need to do anything. And I have a hard time with that, because I even have been talking so fast and I should slow down, and I know I should slow down, but my inherent personality, and see, now I'm going to just like lean into that, because it's been brought to my awareness, like lean into that and allow things to flow and allow things to be as they are, and don't fight it. Because the more you try to fight it, the more flighty you get, and the more anxiety comes up and all those, buzzwords of the negative feelings. But if you just sit, just take a breath, hold the breath, let the breath out, hold it out, and allow your body to be in those moments. And the power of breath. And that was one of the things that when I met you, I knew I needed. How do I breathe? Teach me how to fucking breathe, Cheyenne, because I don't know how.
Yeah.
And you taught me how to do that. And my life has never been the same.
It's such a gift. It's such a gift to be able to meet people in those places and just be present with them.
Yeah.
because you don't need fixed. You have all the answers within. And so that was what my opportunity of working with you was just like holding you and
Yeah.
just being like, and having full
Don't
trust
forget
that
to take out your
I
trash
know
cans.
you're going to get through this and I know you know the way. It's
Yeah.
like,
And
I
I'm
don't
like,
have
no,
the
I
answers.
don't. I'm not going to survive. And you're like, no, you are. And I believe in you. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
if you say so.
And
But you
then
were right.
every single one of the things that came up through breath work, not in your mind, not trying to make it happen, not trying to figure it out, when you sank into your heart
Mm-hmm.
and you were able to just feel and give yourself permission and align with truly what you know. Everyone outside of you was telling you what you needed to do and you can't trust yourself with money and you da, da, da,
Mm-hmm.
da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And once
Uh,
you came here, every single thing that was your intention,
mm-hmm.
companionship,
Mm-hmm.
creating, doing something that lit you up, moving to St. George,
Yeah.
you accomplished every single thing.
Yeah. And I would even dare say it. I breathed into this life. Like I used my breath to guide me. And I have never thought about it that way.
I have absolute spirit bumps.
Yes. But that's what it feels like when I really think about it. It's just like, take a breath. And that's the first step. Okay, what's the next one? Oh, I know because I thought of it as I was breathing and it came to me and I didn't have to push it. It just became a part of my existence.
That's truly what alignment is. When you're aligning with your higher self and what it actually wants. I can't be a designer. I can't design places
Yeah.
because I haven't been to school. But your innate knowing was, I love beauty. I love making things beautiful. I love
Mm-hmm.
up-leveling things. And
Yes.
you just gave yourself that permission
Mm-hmm.
to take the next step. And then, like you said, I met people, I got
Mm-hmm.
connected, and things
Yep.
just started to flow. Instead of
Yeah.
force, it was just this beautiful flow.
Mm-hmm. And what was so cool about that process too is when I would work with designers, I'd be like, well, this color doesn't quite go with this color because the shades are off or the tone is off just a little bit. It needs to be more like this. And the designer would be like, yeah, that's exactly like, how did you see that? You know, it's like, it's because I guess I have a natural talent for it. I didn't know that I did, but I do. And I discovered it. And we all have our natural talents. And by the way, this is the coolest part about this. So my story is just my story, but anybody else out there listening, you have a natural talent. You have a mission and a soul purpose that is calling to you. And it's going to look different from mine, but your story is just as powerful because we all have this within ourselves and we all know. And this is one of the tattoos that I got and it's upside down, but it says, you know, with a little U and it has a little arrow above it that just represents my lifeline is straight and I'm directed and I know where I'm going because I know.
Yeah.
I know. And we all know inherently what is the right thing? What is the right answer to this question? What do I really want in this relationship? What's the right thing for me? What should I do with my time? What should I do with my energy? We all know the answer to that question every time we ask it. And it's really easy to say, I don't know. I don't know. And one of my tricks that I use with my kids is when they say, I don't know, I would say, well, if you did know, what would it be? Just if you had a guess. And guess what? 90% of the time, they then answer that question because they know. We all
Yep.
know. And
Yep.
when you say, I don't know, it's just a cop out because you're not thinking. You're disconnected from yourself when you say, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the wrong answer.
And fear's driving. It's
Yeah.
like, well, if I do know, then I'm going to be put, like, I might be judged.
But if you want to make progress, let go of the fear and answer your own damn question because you know the answer.
So if there are women listening right now and it looks really good on the outside, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
feel good on the inside,
Mm-hmm.
how do I ugh, start to create or give myself permission to move in that way? What would you say?
That's such a hard process and it's such a hard transition. And that's why people are searching for these answers. But it's actually a really simple answer. It's start believing yourself. Like women don't believe themselves when they feel a certain way or when they don't think they know what to do. They think they know and then they're like they question, you know. And it's like stop questioning yourself. Just believe you. If nobody's ever believed you, you start believing you.
Oh,
And if you have that ability to say, as an example, okay, I'm so unhappy with my life. Everything hasn't turned out the way I wanted. Believe that you feel that way. You haven't done anything wrong. But if you want to change it, you do have to do something different. So then it's like to have that conversation with yourself. What am I unhappy about? I'm unhappy about my job. I'm unhappy about my spouse. I'm unhappy about my car. I'm unhappy about where I live. Whatever it is, and then dig into that. Why am I unhappy with this? What's not working? Can I fix it? Can I go to this person? Can we work something different out? Could I improve my skills and get a better job and, improve my financial life, learn about investments or could, what's the next thing that I can do? Every time you ask yourself, you will find the answer. And the other cool part is when you find those answers and you're like, okay, I need to get in a different job, or I need to get a new degree, or I need to write a book, somebody's going to come into your life and they're like, hey, there's this new program that just started in this, thing. And it's so cool. And you're like, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about this. Or like, there's an investment course that the community's doing and it starts next Tuesday. And you're like, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about learning about investing, and it's like, once you decide, the world
Yes.
shifts into
Yes.
alignment for you to receive whatever it is that you desire. But the world can't shift for your good if you don't know. So
Yep.
believe yourself.
Amen. Aho. Absolutely.
Is magic, Cheyenne, as you know.
It is. It is absolute magic. And when you start asking the questions, they will be answered. So the real question is, do you have the courage to walk with the answer? That's the real question. Because it's not that you won't get the answer. It's, do you have the courage to walk with the answer?
Yeah. And guess what? It's okay if you're afraid. Embrace the fear and do it fucking anyway.
Because the world around you is going to benefit, because you're going to create a massive movement and mission that you didn't even know was underneath.
No. And I mean, do you know how many times I felt fear? And I'm like, okay, I feel the fear and now I'm going to do it. And every time I do that, it stretches my soul, it stretches my heart, it stretches my mind, and I become better. And I'm like, ooh, that's a great dopamine hit. Like, I'm getting better. Of all the dopamine hits I get, besides, like love and great sex and all that, like, this is the best.
Getting high on your own supply of taking action.
Yes.
Inspired action. Oh, so good.
Yeah. And by the way, a really great byproduct of that is you have increased self-confidence, which also makes your sex life much better. Not that this is about sex, but it's all connected, It's
all connected with pleasure, joy, abundance, confidence. It's all connected. There's just
it's
so much
all
more
connected. Yes, exactly. It's just like, wow, I didn't know I could be this passionate of a person. I didn't know I had this much love inside of me. I didn't know I had this capability to create this and bless other people's lives and like do good. I thought I was just going to like meander around, have my kids and die. No, there's so much more than that.
What I hear you say is you found your soul through this process.
Well, I'm still finding it, girl.
But everything looked good on the outside of your life.
Yeah,
but
it did.
This, like, you really got to build character.
Yeah.
And that let your soul drive.
Yeah.
What beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, going back to that just really quick, it's like I had a successful business, handsome husband, beautiful kids, great house. We had a motorhome. We had we had all these things.
Yeah.
And when my husband died, none of those things mattered anymore. And I had to figure out, who am I in this experience to create meaning, because I've lost all meaning.
Janae, thank you for leading from your heart and being willing to go into the depths, into the pain, so that you could then come out the other side feeling so much more alive.
Yeah. And that is the feeling that when I feel alive, I know I'm in alignment. It's that energy of aliveness. That's what we're looking for. And that's what I love, the theme of this podcast. That's what you're creating. Good job, Cheyenne. You're amazing.
It's only because it's only through my darkest days, right? Of being so out of alignment that there was no aliveness.
Yeah. And you feel dead, but you're alive. And that's the thing that is the worst feeling in the world, is to be alive, but living a dead life. Ugh.
Yep. So good. Thank you so much for sharing. We're going to put your information of how people can connect to you, donate, and get involved in the show notes. And together we rise. And you can
Yes.
see the power of women supporting women.
Mhm.
We can do amazing things together. So
We can.
please share it with a friend or a family member that's struggling. And we're sending you so much love and encouragement into claiming more of your gifts, your truth, and remembrance of who you really are. I love it.
Trust your knowing. Take bold, courageous moves. Honor your energy and rise into who you're meant to be. Feel free to carry this alignment into every step, breath, and conversation. If today resonated, send it to a friend, because together we rise.